Okay, so we're going to level the containers for storage, not necessarily for the building. Because when we get a building in here, we're going to have a crane to put trusses on the top anyway, or to put the second layer on top. So the key thing on setting this up is that we want to make sure for every inch we go up, that, or every 2 inches we go up, that we're re-blocking the container for safety. So we have 4x4s down here, and this is not the safest way of doing it. We don't want to stack any higher than this, but we have these blocks so that if the container should fall, it's only going to fall the distance in which we just lifted up. So if you come around the back here, we have another block, so we're blocking corners. If we block the center, right here in the center, we could have the thing teeter. The bottom of the container is going to be rigid, so if we lift one corner, the other corners are going to lift as well. So by the way, I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead, and this is a container barn installation, but we're going to primarily focus on storage first because we need feed, we need lockable storage and rat-free storage for animal feed and stuff like that. This is a better setup to block. So this is distributing the weight in kind of a pyramid. And of course, we're never going to put our hands under here. We're going to tuck our thumb and we're going to reach under and push the materials if we have to, or we're going to use a stick to push the materials. But this, with these two legs, gives us a more stable platform. And again, we lift it a little bit, block it all up, then we come back and we start looking at level. So we're getting closer to level here. And if you look real close here, we're almost on the target. And so what we've done is we've inched it up, and there's another safety block over here. But now we're 10 inches off the ground. So we're no longer going to be able to use these cap blocks. We got to get a cinder block in here. And so we'll have a cinder block with a small cap on top. The reason we're using solid cap blocks is because we don't want this thing to crack it. And then also, this is spreading out the weight on a more surface area. All the weight of the containers is in these corners. And then there's an I-beam that keeps the rest rigid. But we're getting enough height off the ground that we're going to have to make sure there's cinder blocks here. But as long as it's got the wooden blocks, we can safely walk around it. You'll never put your feet under it. You'll never put your hands under it. And then when you're working with these farm jacks, you're really careful bringing it up only 1 inch at a time. The farm jack is tight in here, but it's not holding the weight of the container. The blocks are holding the weight of the container. These blocks here are holding the weight of the container, or allowing it, if it does fall, only a short space. Now we're going to have enough space up under here that we can rake rocks down and level it out a little bit. We want to make sure the rocks are somewhat compacted before we put our blocks in. And again, we're not going to put our hands under there. We're going to make sure we've lifted it an inch or so above where the block needs to be. Slide the blocks in. This can be very dangerous, because if it was not on a stable gravel pad and we had something shift, this container could move. The height, so however high it is, it can move that far out here and more. So this container is up 10 inches. If it fell, it could fall 10 inches back this way. So we want to be monitoring the stability of the front of the container. We're leveling from the back because we want the access point to get in the container low. And we have a nice gravel pad. The gravel pad is what makes our life easy. Now the gravel pad could have been flattened, it could have been compacted and flattened out and stuff like that, but that would limit drainage. And then it's also a lot of extra work. The probability of us getting this pad level enough that these containers could just sit on the ground is very slim. Plus, I want the airflow under the container. So if you look up under the container itself, you'll see that there's air and light all the way across to the other side. And so there will be stuff that crawls under here, but most importantly, air can flow under the container. Air can flow through the rocks. When it rains, water can soak down through the rocks into the ground, because we want to keep these containers dry. Just to wrap up, the containers are going to have grain and feed and tack and different things for the animals, and fences and other storage items, and maybe even some household storage items in here and totes. We want to keep our containers as dry as possible, so we want airflow all around them. I will put more vents in the containers, or we're going to get a kit and insulate the containers, and then vent them and insulate them to get the moisture out of them, because again, we don't want our feed to go sour. We don't want rats to get in, but first off, again, the containers have to be level. When we're closer to doing a barn and we're able to get the tops for the barn, we're actually going to get another container, and then we'll have all the containers oriented parallel with each other Right now, again, we're just leveling out. So thanks for watching. I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead. Be sure to follow us on this barn build. There should be a playlist in the bottom. And if you have questions, visit www.prosperityhomestead.org.